work. I want to do these 2 quick videos, give me some rest, wake up, and get ready to start off the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? I gotta take care of some business in the morning. Hopefully, I'll try to take care of this bank shit. But we need to get that super chat up. We need to get that super chat popping. You feel me? So I need to go to the bank and see how much it costs to open up a savings account. But first, before I do that, I need to read about the AdSense shit for the YouTube partnership shit in order to get these super chats. And then I need to probably order me a Venmo. I need to get a Venmo account. Just something to have a backup just in case Cash App fuck me over. So need to give me a Venmo, then get this savings account and see about this super chats. And it's gonna be awesome when I get these super chats. And it's gonna be awesome seeing people pop up to to fucking join memberships. I'm like, oh shit. I say this is the first for me. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody, man. I've been on YouTube for 6 years. And YouTube ain't shit for fucking with my people, fucking with me, and fucking with my girl. You know what I'm saying? Much love to my UK correspondent, Vanta. That's my baby. Y'all motherfuckers better back the fuck up. Get your head whooped. But anyway, let's get off into it. We'll get off into this one first.
Final warning signs when the world has ended, the news is lying, and everyone around you is still sipping lattes. The grid still hums. The lights still work. Somebody's posting brunch photos while the supply chain bleeds out in a back alley. You can feel it, that wrong frequency under everything. But the neighbors are mowing their lawns, and the anchor man is smiling. Collapse doesn't arrive with trumpets. It tiptoes, and by the time the average human notices, the shelves are already empty, and the ATMs are already laughing at them. No worries, we're building your DIY collapse detector. 6 signs, 0 gear, pure pattern recognition. Let's go. Why nobody sees it coming. The science of looking away. Here's the dirty little secret of every collapse in recorded history. People knew. They just refuse to know. Psychologists have a name for this, normalcy bias. Your brain is a lazy roommate. It assumes tomorrow will look like yesterday because that's cheaper to compute. Studies on disaster response, Pompeii, Katrina, the 2004 tsunami, the early days of every market crash show the same pattern. Between 70 and 80% of people freeze, deny, or rationalize when the warning sirens go off. Only about 10 to 15% act fast. The rest, they finish their coffee. That's not a personality flaw. That's neurology. The amygdala flinches. The prefrontal cortex overrides it with, nah, can't be that bad. And congratulations, you've just been domesticated by your own skull. So step 1 of survival isn't a bug-out bag. It's learning to override the meat between your ears. Sign 1, the quiet bank shuffle. Before every major financial collapse, 1929, 2008, the 2023 regional bank wobble, there's a strange quiet, not panic, quiet. Wealthy people move money first, and they move it politely. Watch for sudden policy updates on withdrawal limits. Watch for banks gently nudging customers toward digital-only accounts. Watch for the phrase, temporary technical issues, appearing 3 times in 1 month. The method? Pull up your bank's news page once a week. Boring? Yes, but the language changes before the doors do. When you see words like liquidity, consolidation, or restructuring sneaking into press releases, the rats are already swimming. In 2008, Bear Stearns was fundamentally sound 72 hours before it wasn't. That's not a conspiracy. That's the public record. If your bank suddenly loves you and offers bonuses to keep deposits in, congrats. You've spotted a liquidity squeeze in real time. Sign 2, the shelf whisper. Forget empty shelves. By the time shelves are empty, you're late. The real signal is subtle substitution. The brand you've bought for 10 years quietly shrinks. The 16-ounce jar becomes 14. The family size loses 2 ounces but keeps the price. This is called shrinkflation, and it's the supply chain whispering that input costs are eating producers alive. The method? Pick 5 staple items: rice, oil, coffee, eggs, toilet paper. Photograph the price and wait monthly. Yes, like a deranged accountant. Within 6 months, you'll have a personal inflation index more honest than any government number. Yep. The US CPI excludes or adjusts volatile categories. Your pantry doesn't lie. When 3 of those 5 items shrink in the same quarter, something upstream is breaking. Could be fertilizer, could be shipping, could be currency. Doesn't matter. The shelf is telling you to stock up while it still can. Sign 3, the insurance twitch. Insurance companies are professional pessimists, paid to predict doom. When they pull out of a region, Florida, California, parts of Louisiana, that's not politics, that's actuarial science screaming. State Farm stopped writing home policies in California in 2023. Allstate followed. 7 major insurers exited Florida between 2022 and 2024. These companies have rooms full of mathematicians whose only job is calculating when a place becomes uninsurable. The method? Every 6 months, search your state plus insurer plus exit, or non-renewal. If the men with spreadsheets are running, you should at least be jogging. They make decisions, not headlines. Follow the decisions. Sign 4, the elite real estate pattern. Billionaires don't tweet their fears. They buy land. Specifically, remote land with water rights, far from coastlines, near small airstrips. Mark Zuckerberg's Kauai compound, Peter Thiel's New Zealand citizenship, the Kansas missile silo condos that actually sold out. This is documented, public, on tax records. They're not paranoid, they're hedged. You don't need a bunker, you need to notice the pattern. When the people with the best information allocate capital toward isolation, water, and food independence, that's a free intelligence briefing. They are showing you their threat model. You just have to look. The method? Follow agricultural land sales in your region on county records. Public data, free. When out-of-state LLCs start buying farmland with well rights, something is being priced in that CNN hasn't mentioned yet. Sign
Salute
5,
Two Wheels. What
the
up, bro?
language shift. Watch how officials
What's
talk,
good? What's good?
not what they say, how. Before every controlled collapse, vocabulary mutates. Recession becomes soft landing. Inflation becomes transitory. Bank failure becomes orderly resolution. Shortage becomes supply chain adjustment. War becomes kinetic action. This is called euphemism creep, and linguists have tracked it through declassified Cold War documents, Soviet-era press, and modern central bank statements. When a word gets replaced by a softer cousin 3 times in a single press conference, the thing the word described is happening, and they know it. Sign 5, the behavior of the calm ones. Here's the eerie part. Right before things crack, strangers get friendlier. Cashiers chat longer, neighbors wave more, politicians smile harder. This isn't comfort, it's social cohesion making one last desperate bid to hold the pattern together. Sociologists call it terminal optimism. It's the same chemical glow people describe in the calm before a hurricane hits, in the hour before a market panic, in the days before a city falls. If everything feels suspiciously fine, pay attention. Normal isn't supposed to feel performed. What you actually do about it? This isn't a doom guide, it's a calibration guide. You're not building a bunker, you're building eyes. Start small, 3 weeks of food and water. The unsexy basics. About $200 buys you a month of beans, rice, oil, salt, and water filtration. The CDC and FEMA both recommend a 2-week minimum. Most Americans have less than 3 days. Be the boring person who has 14. Keep cash, physical, in small bills. Every modern outage, from the 2021 Texas grid failure to the 2024 CrowdStrike crash, proved that the system is down means you don't eat unless you have paper. A few $100s in 20s is not paranoia. It's a Tuesday. Learn one skill that doesn't need electricity: sharpening a knife, fixing a bike, growing tomatoes, filtering water through sand, gravel, and charcoal. Yes, that actually works. It's the same principle municipal plants use, just smaller and uglier. No two routes home from work without GPS. The day the maps die, the people who memorize the city eat dinner at home. The rest sleep in parking lots. And finally, build a tribe of 3. Not a militia. 3 humans who pick up the phone at 3 a.m. without asking why. History shows the people who survive collapse aren't the lone wolves with gear. They're the boring ones with friends. Collapse isn't a moment. It's a slope. The people sipping lattes aren't stupid. They're running outdated software. Your job isn't to panic. Your job is to notice. Notice the language, the shelves, the insurers, the billionaires, the cashiers smiling too long. When the lights flicker, half the world will say weird and go back to scrolling. You won't be in that half anymore. The signs are always there. The screaming is optional. Stay sharp, stay quiet, stay early. The world doesn't end with a bang.
Thanks,
It
Two
ends
Wills.
with everyone pretending it isn't.
All right, we got one more, then we gonna head up out of here. This is about this is something else. What was this?
Vampires in the entire world
Yeah.
is saying that people who oppose AI data centers could be labeled as domestic terrorists and signaling that perhaps AI data centers should actually become AI data bunkers and build.
See what I say? Now it's on the corporate level. At first, Trump was like, if you disagree with us, you're a domestic terrorist. Now, if you disagree with data centers, you're a domestic terrorist. It's a wrap. For all the good people out there that's not a full conspiracy theorist, guess what? If you are against a data center, you are officially in the same club as me. Possible domestic terrorist that's going to take down this fucking government. Let's go.
Underground to avoid public scrutiny and the potential for sabotage by people who do not want these structures built. Don't just take my word for it. Hear from BlackRock's Larry Fink in his own words.
But now, because of drone warfare, we have to relook at all forms of security. And the need for rebuilding the GCC region to rebuild it so that it's going to be in a position where it's not going to be obstructed by drone warfare. So many more things are going to have to be underground. But even here in the United States, if we're going to be building, let's say, these 1 gigawatt data centers, how do we make sure we're not protecting those $50 billion, $75 billion investments? We have to relook at everything because of the role of drone warfare. Right now we're looking at it internationally, but one of my concerns is could it be a domestic terrorism using a $3,000 drone?
So there he's talking about in the context of the war in Iran, that drones being sent out by the Iranian state as part of its counterattacks to the U.S. and Israel's offensive war have proven successful in targeting infrastructure in other Gulf Coast countries. He's taking those lessons and thinking about it in the context of all of the money that his firm, BlackRock, is pouring into AI data centers right now, and is thinking, these billion-dollar data centers that we're building sure could be disrupted by what he calls terrorists, but of course the old saying, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter, that people who oppose data centers could be using drones in the same way to sabotage domestic data center infrastructure. He floats the idea there of having Gulf countries rebuild a lot of their oil infrastructure underground, and is then drawing the parallels to security concerns here in the United States, floating the idea of building data centers underground. We have already seen the intense demand and effects that building these data centers have on water tables across the world at this point, where people are reporting their wells running dry or having problems with their water as a result just of these above ground data centers being built, not to mention the runoff that happens into surface water from the construction of these data centers, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine how much more invasive that could become if these data centers, some of which are on the scale of, or being compared to the size of Manhattan for their scale, these hyperscale they put right now. Imagine the disruptive effects something that large being built underground is going to have on perhaps your local water table. Because don't forget, right now, imagine the disruptive effects something that large being built underground is going to have on perhaps your local water table. Because don't forget, just because it's not being built in your backyard right now doesn't mean that it isn't going to be built soon. Larry Fink in that clip was speaking to the Global Conference, which is a conference that is hosted by the Milken Institute, which is one of these quote-unquote nonpartisan but avowedly pro-ground is going to have
Hold on, let me go another 10 seconds.
For their scale, these hyperscale, they put right now. Imagine the disruption.
Yeah, he did glitch. He did fucking glitch. Caught that shit. This motherfucker might be using AI to talk for him, or look, like his look and likeness, and the AI glitched, or this motherfucker just glitched in front of me. But anyway, let's go.
The effect something that large being built underground is going to have on perhaps your local water table, because don't forget, just because it's not being built in your backyard right now doesn't mean that it isn't going to be built soon. Larry Fink in that clip was speaking to the Global Conference, which is a conference that is hosted by the Milken Institute, which is one of these quote-unquote nonpartisan but avowedly pro-corporate think tanks here in the U.S., and he was joined on that panel by Bruce Flatt, who is the CEO of Brookfield, which is another one of these massive private equity firms that is also dumping billions of dollars into data center buildouts right now. And Bruce Flatt just openly admitted that these data centers are going to be coming to your backyard as well, because he and the other billionaires like Larry Fink, like Bruce Flatt, are trying to rewire the global economy. And I want you to pay attention to what he doesn't say in this answer. What he doesn't address in talking about rewiring the global economy is any mention of how workers are going to fare.
We have been, and we still are, and for the next 10 years we will be, rewiring the global economy.
What?
To lay the networks that we laid before, which were highways, utilities, railways. And now we're laying cloud, artificial intelligence factories, and data centers. And that, on the fundamental basis, that's what's happening. So there will be $10 trillion from power, AI, factories, data centers, and fiber build out laid to basically rewire the world for the new economy that's coming.
He's talking about trillions of dollars of build out, trillions of dollars that are invested in this bubble right now, the AI bubble, to do these massive data center build outs that are leading to all kinds of pollution and poisoning of communities across the US right now. And all of the local opposition, be damned, apparently. And that figure that he's citing there, trillions of dollars, is not an exaggeration, or at least not baseless. This is analysis from McKinsey, and that is one of those soulless corporate advisory companies that always usually just advises companies to do more layoffs. But they just recently, this spring, did an analysis, and they found that $7 trillion is being put towards a data center build out right now. And they say the race to scale AI has triggered one of the largest infrastructure build outs in modern history. By our estimates, global spending on data centers could reach $7 trillion by 2030. Whether a build out is successful depends on many nuances, including the availability of capital and energy resources. Well, the capital appears to be there because those two CEOs that we just heard from of massive private equity firms are busy dumping billions upon billions of dollars into these build outs. So the capital's there. The energy also seemingly will be there, because there is talk of not shuttering fossil fuel plants to continue to allow them to burn fossil fuels and accelerate global warming, all in the name of sponsoring this $7 trillion AI build out for a product that's not even clear exactly what it will be used for, how useful it will be, or if people even want it. And I can tell you from firsthand experience and reporting that people in these communities sure as hell don't want these data centers built near them. I was recently in Janesville, Wisconsin, where there was probably one of the most on the nose metaphors for how our economy is being changed right now in this late stage capitalist neoliberal era. We are watching on the site of a former GM plant in that community, where it used to employ thousands of people with good union jobs. That factory closed during the economic crisis of 2009. And now is being replaced, or proposed to be replaced, with an AI data center. I spoke to some of the activists there on the ground who are opposing that data center about some of the concerns that they have around what AI will exactly do in their lives.
We don't know how these systems work to some extent, and they're not working in a way that is democratized or in the power of the people. It's the choices that are being made sort of way above our pay grade, and we're just down here downstream of the effects.
If you believe in being able to hear from real voices like that more outlets should be doing, that real on the ground journalism, hearing from people directly impacted by these data centers, go to statusquo.com/join. For as low as $5 a month, you go.
Yep. And that's the quick HHN. We talked about 6 pattern recognitions to catch when the collapse happened. And this is talking about if you oppose a data center, you a domestic terrorist. So shit. I'll be back later. This is just a quick HHN, get on out the way. Shouts out to everybody that came through. Shouts out to everybody that's going to watch on the playback. Much love to my UK correspondent, Vanta. We will be back later. HHN Special Report.